This episode of Casual Friday is brought to you by Lumosity.
I think it's almost over.
You think it's almost over?
Yeah.
Okay.
We're gonna move on to more Ratchet culture.
Yeah.
Ratchet? Mm-hmm. Like, and Clank?
No.
But I think there is that small part of me that would like to hold on to the security blanket of the warm and familiar generation that we've had. Oh God.
But it was a fun generation.
It was.
It was. And I know the entire world thinks that I hate Sony, but I have like very, very fond memories of Sony in this. Well, not at the very beginning with like Lair and
Lair was fantastic. It was a fantastic demonstration of the system's capabilities and the 6-axis controller and how it works so perfectly.
But I mean, if you really look at the trajectory of the PlayStation 3, it's pretty phenomenal because, when they got out of the gate, it was primarily good intentions that were carrying it, and then all of a sudden it was like, whoa, hold on, there's some really interesting games. What's your favorite?
No, well, gosh, my favorite, probably Journey, which sounds really cliche to say, but I just love it so much.
It's kind of sad that, like, an honest opinion can still be a cliche.
I mean, it's true, but...
No, that's totally true, because Journey's great, but even before that, I was a huge fan of Flower. Like, I would show that to people who never played video games and be like, no, try this. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. It's a gorgeous game. It still is. And it's easy for someone who doesn't play video games to pick up and play it. They're just kind of moving around. They just kind of sit back, relax.
And that's actually interesting. Obviously with the embrace of the indie thing that, has been a huge talking point for Sony for the PlayStation 4. But that game company, primarily with Flower and Journey, I think really kind of primed people to take a look at what was happening on the indie game scene, because there was this kind of mainstream access to what was obviously a far more experimental type of game design.
Yeah.
Totally.
I mean, it's funny because, like, I've only been working in video games a few years, so when the PS3 came out, I was in college. And
doing math,
with no time for video games. That's why people are always like, why didn't you own a PS2? I'm like, because I have a math degree, that's why.
Well, no, but also, and this is another thing when you're in college, you don't have much money.
Exactly,
So
I was poor. My parents didn't
games
pay for shit.
Or booze.
Yeah.
And guess what? One of them made me feel more confident with the ladies. And it wasn't cold games.
Yeah. I actually I had a weird college experience. I got lucky because our college would always sponsor a kegger every Thursday night. Still do to this day. CalArts.
Oh, damn.
Yeah. They also had a clothing optional policy at this school.
Oh, dear.
Yeah, it's true.
Was that all part of Roy Disney's vision?
Yeah. It was Walt Disney's vision. I want a clothing optional school. School-sponsored keggers every night. And my head frozen in the basement. But yeah, so we could actually spend our money on video games. And so I would spend a lot of, when I was in college, it was the whole PS2, Xbox. I'm going to still call it the Xbox One generation. And so we were still doing LAN parties, and we'd just go upstairs Thursday, get tons of beer, bring it down into the theater, and play Halo all night. So we didn't have that. I didn't have that, I'm broke, I can't afford video games.
For me, it was more of an issue of time. But yeah, I mean, consoles back then, especially the PS3, was like $600.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I would never, That was the first time I ever really had sticker shock with the system.
Oh, yeah. I mean, once again, going back to sort of how things have changed so much for Sony, I will never forget sitting in the press conference when the price was announced, and it was like everyone sucked the oxygen out of the room. You heard the gasps. And then I can't remember who it was. It was probably Kaz, I think, who announced it, and then tried to pivot with the free Blu-ray of Talladega Nights included with it.
Which I still have. I still have that free Blu-ray.
That was kind of a fascinating moment. But, I was definitely on the bandwagon seeing some issues with Sony at the time. But, then things started to change. And, I think the big transition for me is putting in Uncharted 2. Totally. It's hard for me to separate that game judging against all other games that were on the PS3. But not really knowing what was on that disc. That's sometimes the fun part about reviewing. It's like you're the first one in there, and so you're kind of primed with your zero level reading. And I put it in, And that's when I came up with my theory, the underwear effect, where I woke up on that Saturday morning, I started playing it on a Friday, and I tiptoed over my wife to get into that, because I didn't want to wake her up and be distracted from what I had to do, which is to play more of this absolutely amazing game.
Well, and the expectations too for that game weren't as high as they were for something like Uncharted 3, because Uncharted 1 was an okay game. It wasn't great.
It had the strong character, it had this great cutscenes, but yeah.
But Uncharted 2 just right from the first scene on the train, it just kind of kicked you in the face and said, no, we're completely different now. We know what we're doing. And another game that I really liked on PlayStation 3, this is kind of an oddball choice, was 3D Dot Game Heroes. Did you guys ever play that? It was awesome. It was this awesome, it was a throwback to Zelda, but it was all blocky 3D sprites. So basically they took Zelda and kind of moved it so you can actually see what it would look like if they were 3D characters. I spent a lot of time recreating.
Did that predate Minecraft?
It was about this. No, Minecraft came before it.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Minecraft came way before this, but I spent a lot of time recreating Link, like the Link sprite from Zelda, so I could play the game like it was Zelda. And it was totally, it knew, it was very self-aware that it was a Zelda clone, and there were nods to it. It was a very, very fun game that a lot of people didn't get to play.
But did you have a 360 and a PS3?
Oh yeah.
So it was the exclusives that made you buy a PS3.
No, I am one of those people. I'm an early adopter for every system, so I will just. I know. I'm one of those people
You're one
that.
of those.
Yeah, I am. So I bought the 360 at launch, and I bought.
You're not an early adopter of children. I need to get a new child that's out there. You're an early adopter of game consoles.
No. I mean, and same time this generation around. The Wii U is the first one that I didn't buy right off it.
Really?
Right on day one. That was the first one I didn't do. But yeah, I got my pre-order ready for PS4 day one.
Yeah. See, a lot of the PS3 exclusives, like a couple of years ago, just don't really appeal to me a lot, you know? Like God of War, not really my thing. Demon's Souls, that's a tricky one.
Twisted Metal.
I don't think we're allowed to have strong opinions on Demons and Dark Souls. But I mean, the thing that I really attach to, because I've always liked God of War, except for Ascension, but it was the willingness of Sony to invest in stuff that clearly did not say, hey, you're going to make money on this. In the case of what is Heavy Rain. I do not think that's an incredible game, but I just like the idea. It's an experiment. I'm really glad that someone tried to do that.
Yeah. Little Big Planet.
Big Planet, which,
It was a total experiment. It was we're going to make a 2D side scroller, but we're also going to let you create everything in this world if you want to. And that was, there were always level creators, even going back to Excitebike, but this was something that was so robust, and they were allowing the community to share the levels. It
had such a unique aesthetic.
Exactly.
That's another thing.
Adorable. It still is one of my favorite games for design. The design in that game is top notch. I love it. I love it.
I remember when there used to be a billboard on my route home from G4, and it'd be for the game, and I would just see Sackboy. Yeah. And I would just smile. Yeah. It was just I really look forward to seeing a Sackboy just waving and smiling at me.
Just pushing up and down on the directional pad to change his emotions.
Yeah.
You could sit there and do that for a good half hour. You just go, ah.
Yeah, it's interesting. I obviously the launch games, and you rarely see that kind of experimentation at a launch because that would be a bad idea. But I'm really hoping that tradition continues forward. That it's like, okay, we'll make money on this game, but we're also going to kind of throw this thing out there and see if it finds an audience.
Maybe Knack is the next Little Big Planet. God, no, it's not going to be.
I know.
Not at all.
Let's take a moment to thank our sponsor, Lumosity. Lumosity makes brain training easy with fun and games based on neuroscience. They can help make any brain better by enhancing memory and attention. You can build custom training programs and get stats and summaries to track your progress and see where you need to improve. Over 40 million users have already experienced Lumosity's brain training, so go try it for yourself. You can get instant access and help support Rev3 Games by signing up at lumosity.com/Rev3Games.